Hey there, and welcome. If you're about to start your journey with cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT as we'll call it, this is for you. Think of this as a quick start guide. We're going to unpack the main ideas and tools you'll be using so you can walk into that first session feeling ready and, honestly, a little more in control. So let's start with this. Does this feel familiar at all? That feeling of being totally stuck on a loop? Where a worry pops into your head, it makes you feel awful, and that feeling pushes you to do something you wish you hadn't, and then, boom, you're right back where you started. If you've been there, just know, you are definitely not alone. It's an incredibly human thing to feel trapped in these cycles. And that's exactly where CBT comes in. Now, this isn't about lying on a couch talking about your dreams. It's way more practical than that. It's hands-on. It's about building skills. You can almost think of it like learning to be a mechanic for your own mind. You're learning to look under the hood, see how the parts are working together, and get the tools you need to fix what's keeping you stuck.
And here's what's so cool about it. This is a team sport. Your therapist, they're like a coach. They know the playbook, they know the strategies. But you are the expert on you. You're the star player. The whole idea is that you work together, like co-therapists, to figure out what's going on and what's going to help. It's a partnership right from the very beginning.
And, this whole approach, it really works. It's not just a bunch of nice ideas. There is a mountain of research showing how effective CBT is for all sorts of things. It's one of the top recommended treatments for depression and anxiety, and it's also a game changer for things like insomnia, because it gets right to the thoughts and habits that keep you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. So there's some real science backing this up.
So, how does it all work? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all boils down to one core concept. It's a really simple but super powerful way of understanding how our minds are wired.
And here it is, the thought-feeling-action cycle. At the heart of everything in CBT is this little feedback loop. You see, something happens in the world and immediately you have a thought about it. That thought then sparks a feeling, an emotion. And that feeling, well, that drives you to take an action. The huge insight here is that it's usually not the event itself that's the problem, it's our thought about the event that kicks off the whole chain reaction.
But here's the catch. Our thinking isn't always, 100% accurate. Our brains have these little glitches, these common shortcuts that CBT calls thinking traps. For example, have you ever done all or nothing thinking? That's where one tiny mistake means you're a total failure. Or what about catastrophizing, where a small worry instantly snowballs into the worst-case scenario? These traps are what pour fuel on that negative fire and make that loop feel impossible to escape.
Okay, so we know we can get stuck in these loops because of these thinking traps. The big question is, how do we get unstuck? And that's where we get to the really good stuff. This is the how-to part. Let's open up that toolkit and look at the two main tools you're going to learn to use. Tool number one is something called cognitive restructuring. The best way to think about this is that you're going to become a detective for your own thoughts. See, instead of just believing every automatic thought that pops into your head, you learn to step back, get out your magnifying glass, and actually examine the evidence. You question it. You look for clues, instead of just accepting it as fact. Let's look at a classic example. An automatic thought pops up. I've totally blown it. I can't even do a simple thing like stay on a diet. And man, that feels so true in the moment, right? But a thought detective would pause and ask some questions. Hang on, am I using all or nothing thinking here? Is it true that I've totally blown it, or did I just have a setback? What's a more balanced, fair way of looking at this? The goal isn't to just think happy thoughts. It's to find what's actually true. All right, the second core tool is incredibly powerful because it's all about action. These are called behavioral experiments. And the idea is simple. One of the fastest ways to change how you think and feel is to change what you do. You basically treat your negative beliefs not as facts written in stone, but as guesses, as hypotheses that you can actually go out and test in the real world.
And it works just like a science experiment. First, you identify a belief you want to test out. Like, if I speak up in a meeting, everyone will think my idea is dumb. Then you make a specific prediction. Then, and this is key, you plan a small, totally manageable action. Not a huge one. Maybe you just decide to share one small comment. Finally, you just observe what really happens and compare it to what you predicted. This is how you gather your own data to prove those old beliefs wrong.
So, as we wrap this up, let's pull everything together. Think of this as your cheat sheet for your first session. Just a few key ideas to take with you as you get started on this journey.
You're probably going to hear some of these words, so let's do a quick recap. That first thought that just pops into your head, that's your automatic thought.
Those mental glitches like catastrophizing, those are cognitive distortions or thinking traps. The real-world test you run, that's a behavioral experiment. And core beliefs, those are the deeper, bigger beliefs that often power everything else. Just knowing these terms will help you feel right at home in the conversation.
And maybe the most important thing to remember is this. CBT is a skill. It's not a magic wand. It's much more like learning to play the piano or getting good at a sport. It takes practice. The stuff you do between sessions, the thought records, the little experiments, that's where the magic really happens. That's how you build confidence and start to see real, lasting change.
So I want to leave you with this one question, because it really gets to the absolute heart of CBT. What if all those powerful negative thoughts, the ones that feel so real and so true, what if they aren't facts? What if they're just old guesses your mind made a long time ago? Guesses that you now have the tools to go out and test for yourself. Just thinking about it that way, well, that can be the start of a whole new path.